Welcome to the David Bradley Show with your host, David Bradley.
Howdy, everybody. How are y'all doing? Y'all ain't going to guess who I got on my show today. I would not even foreseen this guy even wanting to talk to me. But everybody say hi to Big Vinny. How's it going, brother?
Well, just here for the party, man. Having a good day. Got to go to church this morning and went and picked up a squat rack and then had some family over. I mean, it's been going nonstop all day, and I finally just got everything in, got my kids situated. Now we're on this awesome podcast, ready to rock this.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I've been, actually, you are, and celebrate if you want to, I understand. You are my first Zoom virtual guest on my show.
I mean, I bring it, I like to be the first, I like to make sure that I got something special going on. That's just why I brought this awesome sunshine pen that my daughter got at church today. It's got this little clouds and it has all the different colors. You can do all the different colors of ink right here. Bam. See?
Oh, sweet.
I came to celebrate.
Hell yeah. Can't beat that. So, dude, I seen where you was out in San Diego the other day.
Yeah, I was there last Friday and Saturday, 2 sold out shows. Man, it was awesome. Just that club is one of my favorite clubs. You got big LED screens behind you and all the lights and stuff. They take care of you well, and they actually advertise and let people know that you're going to be there. So people show up. I can't tell you how many times I show up and play a club, and I'm like, yeah, how many tickets y'all sell? Well, we don't sell tickets. We just put it on our Facebook and let people know to come. I'm like,
man,
here tonight. I was like, did you not advertise anywhere else? Like maybe some radio or some TV or some sponsored ads. It's always, no, we posted it on our page last month,
Yeah. Hell, that's cool though. I mean, go all the way out there and get that kind of people helping you out and doing stuff.
Oh, it was awesome. They were there. That's just it's called Moonshine Flats and Moonshine Beach. And if you're ever in San Diego, go see them because they're awesome clubs. They got line dancing. They got mechanical bulls. They got bands like me playing, which might be the time you want to kind of check out and go somewhere else. But,
Yeah. So are you kind of like, are you crossing over a little bit from just doing the singer-songwriter and you're getting more to being an artist now?
Well, I was the artist, for years and years and years with a band called Trailer Choirs. We had a big song called Rockin' the Beer Gun on radio that did well for us. We were on Toby Keith's record label, toured with him. But as a solo artist, I've always kind of been more in the songwriter vein. But because of my entertainment value, I break dance and, not too many 330-pound men break dance and do the worm and the splits and all that kind of stuff. So.
Dude, you do more than I could. I couldn't do that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm actually, I think part of me it wasn't that I didn't want to do the full artist thing as a solo artist, but it's just, I'm very content writing. Writing is my favorite part of music. It's my favorite part of the creation of a song, putting your heart on paper, or on computer now because we don't really use paper anymore. But putting your heart out there and telling your stories from your childhood or experience you have. To me, that's one of the coolest things. And then it's always cool how it matches up with other people as well. So
that's a good deal. So what's one of your top songs right now?
I love the song by that Cody Johnson guy out of Texas. It's Until You Can't.
Yeah. I think I've heard that.
Yeah, it's as far as like commercial music, that's one of my favorite ones. My favorite song over the last couple of years that I've heard is this songwriter named Rick Brantley, if you've ever heard of him, but he is phenomenal writer, and he writes exactly what he feels and doesn't care what anybody thinks. But he's got this song called Hurt People.
Yeah.
And it's just such a powerful song that I think the world needs to hear. And for me, that's just I love songs like that just dive deep and tell stories. So.
And that's what I feel like a lot of country music got away from. People that
it got into the production, the pop side, which I love that side too. Don't get me wrong. Our songs, I put out the first country rap song to radio. Well, Cowboy Troy did the first one, but we did probably the first one as a group, that was like,
you can't take away from
Hillbilly Hook, and it did not do very well. It flopped completely, but it was the trailer song for Toby Keith's movie Beer for My Horses. So it was on.
Oh yeah.
It was on all the commercials. So to me, it was my first thing I ever put out, and to me, it was a success because put my TV every day during 2008 would come on at some point on ESPN or whatever the trailer was. My song would be playing in the background, so I felt good about it.
Hey, and I love that song. I thought it was cool as hell.
It's a fun song. It's crazy. It's like I wasn't ready for. I'd never really been on the internet a whole lot just because I'm from Perry County, Tennessee. They still don't have high-speed internet in most of Perry County. But, we put that music video out, and, of course, I was almost 500 pounds and rapping and acting like an idiot. And I thought everybody was going to love it. And a lot of people did. But
a lot of people do.
Right past those, and I would find these people. I literally had people say, and if it was one person, it'd be one thing, but it was lots of people. It was like, I hope he dies on stage of a heart attack. I can't believe they gave that idiot a record deal. Look at him. He's ugly. He's this.
I don't understand the hate.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think I kind of look like a big version of Mark Wahlberg, but that's me,
Well, yeah, a big teddy bear version.
Yeah, teddy bear. He had that movie about him and the bear, whatever it was. So,
oh God, yeah, Ted or whatever it was.
It's interesting. So, which I learned very quickly. Like, hey, man, you just keep doing what you do and loving what you do, and the people that are supposed to get something from it will, and the people who ain't won't. So.
Yeah, that's true. But that's what I liked about. I've noticed a big change in a lot of the songwriters now, and some of the artists actually too. They're getting more back to actually telling a story with their vocals, and
it's really coming back to that 80s, 90s country storytelling, songs with some, and I think a lot of it just comes from where the world's at right now. Man, we don't need any more bad news,
No,
Sing me a song about you and Granny and granddad and whatever, and having Christmas dinner with your family. Sing me a song about going fishing with your buddies.
Oh yeah,
and not worry about what the stock market doing, or if this bank is crashing, or if there's going to be a famine. People, I hear people say, I can't get nothing at the food market anymore. The shelves are bare. I'm like, well, I know how to kill a deer. I know how to skin a deer. I know how to cook a deer. I know how to process a deer. And I can
right there, man.
I can live off of a deer for well, for me personally, probably about a week, but because I eat a lot, But I'm just saying, it's like, my wife, when everything crazy started happening in 2020, she was like, well, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? I'm like, babe, I'm going to be honest with you. I can skin a buck, I can run a trot line, and a country boy can survive.
That's right.
I was like, I know how to catch our food. I know how to make a fire. I know how to make a shelter. So,
yeah,
we'll be okay.
That's why I get a kick out of watching that Naked and Afraid stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all ain't put a country boy out there first.
Yeah.
Let him get out there.
Tell me, she goes, you should go on that Naked and Afraid show. I was like, well, the only problem is I'd get naked, everybody else would get afraid. It'd be bad, for ratings. But I would love to do Survivor. I think that would be really cool to do Survivor.
Yeah, it would. And I wouldn't mind. I like watching that show with Stone Cold. He had that little.
Skull Island.
Skull Island.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind going. I wouldn't participate in it, but I'd love to go out there and see it.
I would have loved to back whenever I was a little bit younger. Now that I'm hitting 40 this year, I've started noticing like, that football injury does hurt a little bit more now than it used to. I was like, I thought I was over that, but apparently it was just sitting there waiting to say, hey, 40, here you are. I'm going to start deciding your shoulder is messed up now. So.
Oh, yeah. Wait till you get about 50, 52, man, and you're just like trying to roll out of bed. And every little thing. I
got up. It was about 3 nights ago. I got up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom. And I got out of bed, my ankles and knees, and everyone was like, pop, 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 pop.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife says, are you okay? I'm like, yes. I was like, yeah. I said, yes. She goes, well, what was that sound? I was like, I was just my bones popping as I'm going to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to prepare her. She's about 4'11", weighs about 110 pounds. And is in very good shape and healthy, which I'm very healthy. I'm actually in very good shape, very healthy. But
well, yeah, you showed the guns a while ago,
Yeah, well, I mean, come on with
there it is.
But it doesn't matter if you. I mean, it's what my doctor said. He said, Vinny, here's the thing. It don't matter if you weigh 300 pounds of solid muscle or if you weigh 300 pounds of fat. That's still 300 pounds on your joints.
Yeah.
He's like, now you might get away with it for a lot longer when you got muscle. He said, but eventually, those joints are going to say, hey, we're joints, and we're still supporting the same amount of weight. So I told her, I said, you don't see too many 300 and 400 pound, 80-year-old men. So
no.
I told her, I said, you need to be prepared for a good 20 or 30 years on this earth without me. But, she'll probably be like 180, God willing, I mean,
God bless you. God bless you, and you'll be a whole lot longer than that. Just 10 years, man.
Well, where modern technology is going, they can just take my brain psyche out and put it in some kind of robot, and it'll be great.
I actually told a guy that the other day. I mean, I remember when I was younger, watching the Bionic Man, and now it's like, okay, this is coming true now.
This is really possible. No, I've watched the things where they got it to where they can, these guys that have amputations from the war and from other freak accidents. They've got it to where they can literally log into their brain and make it to where their brain can move the hand.
Yeah,
like
it's wild.
And they're like picking grapes off it, so it isn't like it's like crushing stuff. It's like literally like to the touch. Like I can feel the grape. I got it.
Yeah.
Now it's still kind of like a grab, turn. Yeah,
there's a little bit of slowness to it.
It's not like boom, I got it. But it's pretty awesome. And I think a lot of people think, well, that's the end of the world. But to me, I'm like, maybe God's just saying, hey, I'm not ready to come back just yet. And so y'all going to have to continue to get some technology. Here's how you can get along a little bit better,
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
So we can get warned about a tornado and a lot more advanced now. So
yeah. So how many shows you going to do this year,
Gosh, on the books right now, I probably got about 25 shows, but that will more than double. I mean, probably 50 to 80, somewhere in there. I got 2 or 3 call for 2 or 3 more shows that, or they're in the works now, stuff's getting on the books and, it's just cool, man. God provides. That's one of the things I'd say is, during COVID, we had probably 100 and something shows on the books that year. And I remember every day, well, this show canceled, send back that deposit money. Now another show. The next thing I know, 3 weeks in, every single show is canceled. We've had to send back all the deposit money. I'm sitting there, I'm like, babe, it's a good thing I know how to run a trot line.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, we'll be putting milk jugs out there with trot lines on them for too long, trying to catch everything we can. But you know what, God, you just got to have faith. God provided. And man, he gave me a job that I never expected to have during that time. That more than paid the bills, and they actually gave me the money to invest in other things, so that I'm not always dependent on just my music, and my music is my passion and my dream. And I've done, thank God I've done very, very well, with that.
Yeah.
With mediocre talent.
Yeah.
I've done very well with my music and been blessed to get to do what I've got to do. But, even my buddies that, that make insane amount of money, like Lee Bryce is a good buddy of mine. And, his lifestyle's been set to where he's used to having 3 shows a week at $150,000 to 2. Now, of course, now he's getting like 200, 250. But back then he was getting anywhere between $100 and $150,000 a show, 2 or 3 nights a week. So his lifestyle was built to that. So the second that stops coming in, you're losing $1 million every 10 weeks, or less.
Yeah.
And so, it changes things when you've got bills set up the way you had them set up. So, which was a good reminder, I think, for a lot of people is like, just because you can buy it doesn't mean you should.
I learned that along.
To, live within your means and meaning, like, hey man, I don't need I drive a 2016 Volvo that I love and, gets me back and forth. And, it's a nice car and got everything you'd want in it. But people ask me sometimes, like, man, you make good money. Why don't you go out there and get you a new truck or get you this? I'm like, man, I just don't need it.
Yeah.
I had a truck for a little while, got 12 miles a gallon. I'm like, I don't like to spend unnecessary. I'd rather, go spend it on experiences, go have fun with my family. Disney World costs you, but basically your whole entire right arm now.
Oh, pretty much.
And part of your left leg. So, I got a 2.5-year-old and a 5-year-old, so we're going to be going to Disney World for too long. So.
Oh, definitely. I mean, next time you got to, have one of your songs go up there on the chart a little bit, and you can be like, we're going to Disneyland.
Yeah. When I win the Super Bowl.
When you win the Super Bowl.
Hey, listen, still in my head to this day, I think I could have made it in the NFL. And I'm probably wrong, but in my mind, that's the way my mind works. I never think that I can't achieve something,
Well, that's what a lot of people need to do, especially with the whole pandemic, everything coming to a stop. Even during that time, only thing you got to do is set some goals and research and do the things that you want to do. Because
what I always say is I train a lot of people with powerlifting and my wife's a trainer as well. And it's like I said, I want you to believe in yourself.
Yeah. With
your mind and your heart, but more than with your mind and your heart, I want you to believe in yourself with your actions.
Yeah.
Because you can believe all day long it's going to happen, but until you put the the action there. And of course, I had a guy. He said to me, he goes, "Yeah, but it says in the Bible that if you believe within a grain of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, God said, I believe you can pick up that pickaxe and make some dynamite and put a shovel to the ground and you can move that mountain. Yep. He didn't say, you ain't gonna have to do some work with it. You just said you man the mountains move and they'll move, but you got to still put that work in there. So
I think people are allergic to that word, though.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Since 2020, we own a little resort out in Perry County called the Buffalo River Resort.
Yeah, I've heard of
We
that.
do canoeing and kayaking and camping, and we got some cabins and stuff like that. And I had some great workers last year, but we acquired it in late June of 2021, and I could not get people to work because they were getting paid $600 a week to stay at home.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was offering $15 an hour, and the guy said, "Well, Vinny, I mean, if I stay at home, I make $600. If I was making $15 an hour, I'd have to work 40 hours just to make $600." I was like, well, crap, I didn't even think of it like that. I was like, I guess you're right. And you're getting paid $2,400 a month to sit at home.
Yeah, and that's how they done it, man.
They sat at home, and I was like, man, I can't. I could, we had just taken it over, and we have some people that are making more than 15 now, but that's where we end up usually starting off at is right at $15 an hour. So
yeah, and I drive truck Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
and during that whole thing, man, I didn't slow down, not once.
Oh yeah,
I had to get the toilet paper there. I had to get the all the things.
That was one of the funniest things to me was the toilet paper. People like, I can't believe it. What are we going to do without toilet paper? I'm like, hey, listen, there's this thing called soap and a rag. And you can wash that rag. I promise you can rinse it out in the sink, do whatever you got to do. But
I told everybody,
you can get that butt clean.
I told everybody, I said, look, my dad taught me at an early age, use this leaf and use this leaf, and you'll be fine. Use that leaf. Don't use that other one though.
Leaves of 3, leave them be.
Yeah,
I've already been teaching my son that. We'll go outside. I'm like, you see that? That's poison oak.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. That's poison ivy.
Oh, yeah.
Leaves of 3, leave them be,
And a lot of people don't understand it because in some parts of the country, I don't think they have that. And then they come over here, and it's just like, I laughed the other day. I had to go to the Walmart, and there was a lady in there, and clearly she had a real northern accent to her. I heard her talking to somebody else, and man, she was just ate up on her arms on either side. And I was like, she was talking to somebody. I ain't never heard of no poison oak before. What in the world? I'm just like, yeah.
You have now.
Welcome to Tennessee.
We also have copperheads, and we have brown recluses, and we have cottonmouths. And those are the two snakes that will actually come towards you as opposed to tell you that they're there or go the other way.
Oh, yeah. They're real sneaky.
Rattlesnakes can be aggressive too, but they'll kind of let you know they're there. Although I have heard here lately that a lot of them ain't even rattling anymore. They just, you step by them and they strike you,
Dude, I just, I'm a firm believer. You carry that little old 22 with that snake shot in it, and you ain't got to worry about it.
Nope.
They bite, and you just blow them away.
Yeah. Good old-fashioned shovel will work pretty good too.
Oh, yeah. So how many songs have you got?
Gosh, I've probably written 1,500 songs.
That is
and
impressive.
I probably got about 50 of them that I love.
Yeah.
About 100 of them that I like. And then about the rest of them that I probably shouldn't have wrote, but I was in a room that day, so I wrote them.
Yeah, because I took the other day and was kind of doing a little bit of research on you and everything, and I was just like, man, this, you got a set of pipes on you, man.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, man. I love to sing. It was one of those deals where, I was always doing poetry, writing poetry and stuff like that, but I would sing to whatever came on the radio. I was that kid that I would go out, and my mom had this Dodge Caravan and, back in the day.
I know the car.
I would go out there, and I would literally turn on the radio and sit there and just listen for hours. Then I found out that I could request songs. And so I in my head, everybody else in my class, all the other kids, especially the girls, were listening to radio as well. So I'd go in there and I'd be like, hey, I want to dedicate such and such song to Megan Gordon, or I want to dedicate such and such song. And I come to school the next day and I'm like, hey, Megan, did you listen to the radio last night? Like, no. Well, you went to listen to the radio? I said, listen to the radio tonight at 7 o'clock.
I have to do it all over again.
At 7 o'clock. I was like, and she's like, why? I'm like, just do it. The next day, I'm like, hey, did you listen to the radio last night? Nope.
Oh, man.
I was like, apparently everybody else liked watching TV while I was sitting there listening to country radio. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, they was watching Dukes of Hazzard.
96 in Hickman County, Tennessee. So.
I've been out there. Yeah, it's beautiful country out there, man.
But yeah, I just love music, man. I love to sing. I feel like I feel like God gave us music to heal us. I've been thinking about how bad movies would be if there wasn't music in them. Think about, everything we do, we have some kind of music in some way. And I think it's a universal language. I think when you hear certain sounds, that come from music, it's sad, or that it's happy, or that it feels good. Even if you don't speak the language, you're like, oh yeah, this must be a jam in Japanese, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I guess their language is called Japanese, right?
I think a lot of people don't really understand how much goes into a lot of the music that they really don't register in their head, but it's actually there. And the people that produce it make it. The whole creation process behind the movies, commercials, even stuff you hear on the radio, little commercials on the radio.
And after all these years, it's still just 99 cents.
Yeah.
Although now people just pay $10 a month and they own every single song in the history of the world. So,
well, last month, and I've read this, I read it, but I can't remember the exact numbers on it, but actual album sales outdid internet sales.
Oh yeah, people want the physical thing now.
Yeah, they want that vinyl.
You know what? They want the vinyl records, man. Those vinyl records are, But now also, I think there's a certain type of artist and sound that people want on a vinyl record. And I'm not sure Off the Hillbilly Hook with cracks and pops in it sounds as good as Chris Stapleton singing Tennessee Whiskey.
Man, it was just. But see, I came from that era where the first things that I recorded and everything was, we had a 48 channel board. But we're running everything over to reel-to-reels.
Right.
So you had that sound that was on those albums, and once you got to the digital age and everything got so, I don't know, to me, it got like way over processed, and now it's kind of heartwarming to see where things are coming back to where people want that more kind of like a live sound to it, not as processed.
Well, and honestly, as much as crazy as it sounds, you kind of got to thank the millennials and the new age guys for that, because they realize, like, hey, I'm not going to go into a studio and take the top of the top players and pay out, $8,000 to go record one record. I'm going to sit in my living room and play my guitar the best way I can play it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a little out of time, and it's going to be this, but it's going to have all my emotion in it. And they recorded themselves. I got so many buddies now. I can't remember the last time I went into a full-on studio and did a major like demo for my song.
Oh yeah.
Like I did back then. I'd have to set up a whole day at the studio to get 5 songs in, and it was X amount of dollars for studio room A, and which Sound Emporium, giving them a shout out because I love Sound Emporium, because Juanita was my girl over there. I don't know if she's still there or not, but we recorded a lot of places. I was blessed to get to record at Blackbird, and I've recorded so many of the studios around town, and I think it's awesome. But I think that people just discovered, like, man, it don't have to be perfect. No. You don't have to take out every single bad note. I think a bad note sometimes gives it character.
And some songs it does. It really adds to it.
Somebody should sit up there and suck. But I'd rather somebody go for a note and miss it, but miss it with passion, than everything be like, monotone, no time, everything is perfectly in line.
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton, which he don't really miss a whole lot of notes, but I'd much rather him go for one of those big old notes he hits and slightly miss it or slightly be off key than just sit there and stay safe,
Man, I tell you, he has really surprised me as far as when he hit the scene and how far he has risen so far. He is just, that's so much talent and everything else. And then there's just this big old country boy right there. He is real.
When I think about him, I'm like, I've been seeing him around town forever. And, they put him out to, the record labels, he ain't on the record labels. The record labels, he was signed to Universal before he blew up. And people, they had the Johnson brothers, of course, he had the Steel Drivers, he had, several things. And just nobody, like radio, wouldn't play it. They wouldn't pick it up, wouldn't do it. That it took Justin Timberlake coming in and saying, hey, I'm not going to perform on this award show unless you let this guy perform with me. And they said, okay. And then he sold like 100 and something thousand records the next day. So,
did you hear that song that he did with Justin Timberlake?
The Drink You Away?
No, there was another one.
Tennessee Whiskey, Drink You Away.
No, it was Justin Timberlake and him, and it was, I know I can find it, but it was, it was Say Something, I believe.
Oh, say something.
Yeah,
Say something.
That's
Great
it.
song.
And I watched the video on that, and I was just like, man, it gave me chills just between his voice and,
Well, apparently
Timberlake's.
Justin saw him singing somewhere and ended up hiring him to sing like his 35th birthday party or something like that because he loved him so much. And Jessica, actually, I think Jessica, and this is hearsay, I don't know this to be true, but I guess Jessica called him and said, hey, I want you to come play this. And they asked him how much he got paid. And he's like, I don't know. They usually ask for 5,000, but heck, I'll do it for anything. I'd love to come play for y'all. And I heard they ended up paying him like $100,000 that night and said, you need to be making this plus every single night, which you should. He's one of the most talented people on the planet. And I don't know him as a person, as far as the couple interactions I've had with him, he's always been very nice to me. He's very shy, a lot more of a recluse than I am. I'm going to be right up in your face telling you everything I think. So,
yeah, because you got to hit me up and let me know when you're going to play downtown Nashville, and I'm going to come down there and hang out with you.
I think I'll probably do the listening room again. I don't know when I'll do a full band thing in Nashville, just because, I get paid to play outside of Nashville. So, but I'll probably do some kind of little showcase in town for too long. But I definitely would do a lot of writer stuff. I mean, that's, like I said, that's my favorite thing to do anyways.
Well, no, I mean, we can get some people together and just make a bonfire somewhere and just hang out.
Hey, that's my favorite way to do it.
I'd love that.
We ain't got to do nothing but sit around, play and sing, and listen to other people play and sing. That's my own little version of heaven, is just sitting around playing some music with good folks.
We throw some venison on the grill.
Eat some charcoal burgers and dogs, and
I got
maybe
plenty.
some banana pudding. If anybody out there makes banana pudding and you want to make some, Big Vinny loves banana pudding. Okay.
Oh hell! All right.
And peanut butter fudge and chocolate pie and fried pies. And my granny, listen, they wonder how I got to 500 pounds. My grandma made chocolate gravy. She made chocolate gravy and biscuits every single morning with about 40 pounds of bacon. And there would just be biscuits there all day. People would just stop by and grab one of Granny Bell's biscuits and head on out,
Well, that was the staple back then, man. I mean, it was like, Grandma always had biscuits. Biscuits was breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And then there'd be leftover sausage and bacon. You just run by, middle of the day, be like, what? I think I'll have a sausage and biscuit. Let me go ahead and dip it in some of this chocolate gravy while I'm at it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, when I start telling people about chocolate gravy and when I go anywhere outside of the South, people are like, I don't get it. And I have to say, okay, well, imagine fondue over butter and biscuits. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, that sounds delicious. I'm like, it is. That's also why I got to be 500 pounds. And if we didn't have any chocolate, she had Cairo syrup.
Oh, yeah.
Cairo, or however you say it. She'd have that Cairo syrup, and we just heat it up and then pour it on butter and mash it up into the biscuit too. So.
Oh yeah, and that's good stuff.
One way or the other, we're getting our diabetes. So.
That's a Southern thing.
Yeah, the sugars. My granny used to call it, I got the sugars.
Got the sugars. Yeah, Mom used to say her sweet tooth was bothering her. She needed something sweet.
Hey, babe, I'm going to use that one tonight.
There you go.
Give me some of them chocolate-covered strawberries, Hey, it's fruit, right? It's fruit. It's healthy.
That's right. Banana split's got fruit in it.
I love it. I think, what I think is cool about the music industry right now is you don't have to have a record label.
Yeah.
You have ways to get your music heard without being on radio. And I'm not against radio. I think radio is great. And I still think it has a massive place in the discovery of new music. But, I kind of had this mindset whenever we came in, when we were on Toby's label, on Show Dog.
Yeah.
I wanted to give our music away because I knew radio was going to struggle with us just because we were singing, songs that were a little outside the box that weren't your normal mold, and of course I love the normal mode. Listen, I love super traditional country. I love outside the box country, whatever. I just like a good song, no matter how, the production is on it. But I wanted to give our music away. I said, let's give it away. Let's put it up there for free. I was like, but let's get it sponsored. Let Ford Trucks come in and sponsor every song. Every time it gets downloaded, every single song will start off by, this song's brought to you by Ford Trucks. Yeah. They know they're going to get not just that one advertisement that they paid for, but every time it's played in that car from now until the history of the record forever, you know?
Exactly.
And so, big major companies like Coca-Cola or Ford or Chevy or ones are going to be around for 200 more years from now after we're all long dead and gone.
Well, a lot of bands, man, they can take, I started this podcast in December, and of course, with my background in the music and doing light shows and stuff for people, I've actually nitpicked it to death and then got the best of what I could get and then got it all together, made it all work. And I started noticing other podcasters and everything. So, I mean, why would you need a record label when you could just hit podcast after podcast and put your songs out there, let people know who you are? And I think it really gets the fans closer to the artist.
They get an ownership mentality because they're not just hearing a song. Like, you look at, call it the Charlie Pride effect, but people didn't even know what he looked like for a long time.
Oh yeah.
They were surprised back then to find out they were, loving a black guy's music, which he's one of my favorite. I love his voice and just everything about him.
Oh,
but
he was awesome, man.
He was amazing. I got to actually spend some time with his brother. We did a charity thing together down in St. Croix, and it was cool, and of course he was down there singing and stuff as well. But no, it's you're absolutely right. Like, the more that people can see your face, get to know your story, get to know you, get that ownership mentality in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, I used to be a fan of, man, that guy can sing so good,
Oh yeah.
And I still have that. I mean, I still respect a good singer, but you look at a guy like Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw, he would never be considered a great singer, but he tells a story better than anybody.
Yeah, and
when he starts, Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing.
Oh,
you're like hanging on every word. You're like, yeah. And then what happened?
Yeah.
Or what's that? I don't know why you gotta be angry all the time. Like, the way he tells the story brings you in and makes you listen to it.
Oh yeah.
Rodney Atkins, I mean, that's a guy that's like, when he starts talking, it's almost just like he's talking to you. I was riding through town, just my boy and me, had his Happy Meal in his booster seat. People make fun of that song a lot. I'm a huge fan of it because it's real.
That's exactly
real thing. Like, boy, and it got thrown right back. I think it was Brian White wrote that song with a couple other guys, but that's real stuff. Like, where'd you learn to talk like that? Well, I've been watching you, Dad. You do that stuff all the time. You're like,
oh yeah.
You're right. So I think people just identify with that kind of stuff. I mean, real life songs, and I'm not saying that everybody can go out there and do that, because there's a knack for being able to tell the story and doing all that. Then you got guys like, Chris Stapleton that could sing the phone book, and you think the song is great, even if the song could be crap, but he sings it so good it don't even matter.
Well, I mean, it's like the Super Bowl thing, man. Look at all those dudes out there crying just over him singing it, man.
And here's what I loved about that is, it was my favorite national anthem I've heard in a long, long time, for sure.
Oh yeah.
It was just him, a microphone, and a mic'd up amp. You know what I mean? Like,
that's it.
And one guitar. Didn't need the crazy production and all this stuff. And he was really singing it. It wasn't recorded. You could tell it was the real deal. And of course, they posted a thing, said, this is the greatest national anthem at a Super Bowl since Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 99.9% of everybody agreed.
Oh yeah.
But then you go through and read the comments, and every about 10 or so comments, there'd be one saying, this guy sucks. Who is he? He's fat and ugly. Why'd they let him? They should have got an actual star to sing it. They're just trying to save money on a budget. I'm like, have you not been paying attention to nothing?
No.
I'm like, they're like, he sucks. I'm like, if people can sit there and say that Chris Stapleton sucks, then I don't care what anybody says about me ever again.
Dude,
so I'm a huge fan. I love what he does. And there's some other guys. There's a guy out there right now named Larry Fleet. I don't know if you've heard of him yet.
Not yet.
He's that kind of voice, man. Everything he sings is just phenomenal. Like I said, you have to listen to the song really well to be like, is this really a good song, or is it just that his voice is so good?
Yeah. Well, it's, since I've been doing all this and putting everything together, I've always got some kind of music going in the background and listening.
Yeah.
And it just amazes me. A lot of the artists that are coming out, like I said, have been more getting back into that storytelling stuff. And then when, Chris come out there and he done that, and of course the comments and everything, the biggest thing I noticed on everybody was haters need to stop. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
and here's the reason I to me, it's like, you have the ability to not listen.
Yeah. Turn it off. I
never have understood, and I got friends that do it. They'll get online and be like, I can't believe that they let this person on the radio. They suck. They blah, blah, blah. Have you heard how crappy this is? And then I'll say to them, I'm like, have you ever thought about just marketing somebody that you really love as opposed to downing this person? Why not just spend that, 30 minutes or 30 seconds that you spent posting this person's song and telling people how much you hate it? Why not spend that 30 seconds to 2 minutes posting about, hey, you know what? Here's an artist I love. Check out their music. They deserve to have somebody hear them.
Exactly.
And I think if we did that, then our artists that we love and we support would get a lot more love and support. But every time that you put it on your page, and most of the time, a lot of time it backfires because you hate it for whatever reason you hate it for, but then you tell somebody to check it out. Well, they end up loving it, or they end up, creating like, oh yeah, I like this song actually. And I just think that, I'm always about love, man. I think that we should love more and hate less,
Well, that's what I would love to see that more.
I don't guess I hate anybody really. I mean, unless somebody does something bad to a kid or, something like that. I mean, I've forgiven a lot of people in my life for a lot of bad stuff, and I can forgive pretty much anything except for that. Then, if you do that and I see it, I probably have to take you down. But I'm just saying, it's like to literally sit there and just down somebody's music or their cooking or anything about them, Now, if you had bad service at the restaurant and you want to let people know, like, hey, I didn't like the service here today, but you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know. I mean, I tip the same no matter what. I'm going to tip you 20% is my base, and if you do exceptional, I might go up to 30% or whatever. But that person that's sitting there serving you dinner today, you don't know what they're going through. Yeah. They might be wondering, how am I even going to pay my rent today? And you're out there and you can afford to go out and eat, and that person might be just sitting there thinking, I don't even know how I'm going to buy groceries. I don't know how I'm going to pay my electric bill. Yeah. And so and they're still getting paid $2 or $3 an hour to come to work. They depend on those tips. And I know that sometimes you get bad service, but it might just be that they've just got a lot going on in their life. So I just try to look at it like that and just keep loving people.
I had a conversation
with me being a Christian for my whole life. I think people have tried to scare you into being a Christian. You're going to burn in eternity in hell,
That's Southern Baptist.
Hey, listen, the Bible has a lot of that in it. More of it in the Old Testament than the New Testament. Of course, then Revelation is there. But my biggest thing is, I'm like, if I said, hey, God loves you so much that he sent his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish. But that's way I wouldn't give up my son for anybody.
No.
Nobody.
No.
I can't even imagine. Even if it was like, if you will sacrifice your son and have him completely just tortured to death, then you can save the entire world. I'm like, sorry, world, I guess you're going to have to go, buddy.
Yeah, y'all done.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I hear him crying in there now.
Yeah.
His sister beats him up all the time.
I can't even hear him.
Oh, I got the door shut, but I can always hear him. He's tough, but boy, when it comes to little baby sissy, he just he knows he can't do nothing to her, because she's just a little 2.5-year-old, and so she'll come up, we're trying to teach her not to hit. She's in that 2.5-year-old stage where she wants to hit, she wants to pinch, bite,
and then turn around and see if you're looking.
Oh yeah, oh no, she'll do it while I'm looking right at her. But
she's bold,
And the thing is, Jagger, my son, he's the sweetest. Like, he's kind-hearted and just very caring. If he hears somebody crying, he's like, oh, I hope they're okay. Harley's like, I don't care. Harley just runs around all the time. Like, she's going to be my athlete. She's going to be the one that's going to, I'm sure that I'll, pay for my raisins.
Well, yeah, daddy's
I'll be paying
girl.
for my raisin with her. There ain't no doubt about that. So
sounds like she's definitely daddy's girl, though.
She is daddy's girl, and he is mama's boy. But he loves spending time with me. But when he comes downstairs and wants to get in our bed, he don't come over and get beside me. He snuggles right up to mama, and I'll be like, I said the other day he come in. I said, what about me? You can give me a hug. He goes, mama. He just rolls over. I was like, whatever. I said, I got more than half the bed now, so I'll take it.
That's right. King size, and this is my side.
It is king size. I mean, listen, when you big as I am, you gotta have a king size, just the way it is.
How tall are you?
Well, people a lot of times think I'm about 6'5", but honestly, I'm about 6 foot even. So people get, I say, it's because you're used to seeing me on stage beside Butter, who's like 5'4".
Well, that's
and
what's so.
4'11". My wife's 4'11", so people are like, "Oh my God, you're huge." I'm like, "No, I'm only 6 foot, but my wife's 4'11", so I look like a mountain of a man. But I mean, now I'm thick. I'm built big, So
yeah, and a lot of people, that's just the way they were made, the way God made them,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's people that are meant to run marathons, and there's people that are meant to, pick up the pick up the stones and put them in place,
Yep. And make the biscuits with the chocolate gravy.
I'm made to eat them. I don't make them well, but I eat them well. So
that's awesome, man. Well, hell, I can't wait to come out and check you out, man. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, I don't really have nothing set on the books right now for around here. The only things I got is I do got these little charity shows and things that I do. But they're all like, private table shows and things like that as far as something I'm doing that everybody can come to. Just trying to think. I know I should have something coming up, but honestly, I don't think I got anything right now. But I'm going to be doing another listening room show. I don't know if y'all been to the listening room, but it's like the new Bluebird Cafe. I mean, it's people actually come and they sit and they actually listen to the songs, and it's original music, and I love it. And my buddy Chris owns the place, and actually did one of the very first shows ever at the very original listening room down in Franklin. With my buddy Ken Harrell, who you'll be speaking with soon.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've already done it. I don't maybe you already did that interview. I don't know.
No, I haven't done that. Actually, I haven't talked to him.
Yeah. Well, I know he got COVID, and that was a a kicker. And then he just moved to a new house too. So
yeah, because when I contacted you, when Corrine gave me your number and everything, and told me to holler at you, I hollered at you, and then it was like 30 minutes later, I sent him a text, and I never did hear anything back from him. So I guess he was probably sick at that time and totally forgot.
Yeah, it's probably, I guess, about the time he had COVID. And then cause like I said, he just moved to a new house here in Murfreesboro. He was in an apartment, but now he moved to an actual house, and he's excited about it because he's like, Vinny, he goes, it ain't that I feel like I'm too good for apartment. He goes, I just ain't used to having people walking around on top of, on the floor above me all the time. He goes, and I'm laying there in bed thinking somebody's trying to break in my house, but it's just these guys coming home at, 2:00 in the morning,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I lived in, oh Lord, rental houses and in apartments. And I bought my own house now, and the apartment complex, there's something to be said for, you might hear this or hear that. Get the top floor. You won't have nobody walking on your head. You got the pool there. You ain't got to maintain it. Yeah. You ain't got to do nothing.
The only hard time when you get the top floor is when you move your stuff in and when you move your stuff out.
Yeah, it's called hired movers. That,
it's great.
Hired movers.
And black tie moving. If you ain't ever hired them, they do a great job. And I'm saying it because I've used them twice, and my buddy owns the place. But they are really good. So.
Yeah, and actually, hopefully
that's a free shout out. No free shout out.
That's $29.95 per shout out.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Dude, that's one thing I didn't want to do when I started doing this. I didn't want to charge anybody for it. And I hope nobody would charge me for it, and just, I wanted to get things back to the reality of good conversation and just talk about people and get everything going good, and.
Well, I think so many of the world's problems could be solved if people would be willing to say, you know what, I believe one way and you believe one way. If we just sit down and talk about it, we might find that we both are trying to get to the same place. We're just trying to take a different boat to get there,
Oh yeah.
I think most everybody in this world just wants to wake up and have a good day. They just want to be able to pay their bills and love on their family and have a good day. And, and then there's a lot of people who are not even blessed enough to have that, but they'd like to have it, and I think, if we all just sit down and realize, man, we're trying to get to the same place. We're trying to get to peace and happiness and love. And, very few people are trying to wake up every day and say, man, I want to make somebody else's life bad. It's just, they got a lot of bad stuff going on. So sometimes it just carries on to other people. So we can all work together and help each other. I think we'd be a lot better place.
Oh yeah. It'd be great. I'd love it if we could just everybody get along and have some fun and stop with all the foolishness and the bull crap.
The thing is too, though, I think what we get showed on the news, what we get showed on our TVs and our phones and stuff is we always see the breaking news. Oh my gosh, this is going on. This is happening. That's happening. And they're not talking about, this potluck that happened at this church with 250 people and they fed 200 homeless people today. They don't talk about that. They're not talking about, this family getting together that, their grandma's celebrating her 90th birthday and the whole family's come to go and celebrate with her. They don't talk about that, but those things happen every day.
Yeah. I mean, you've got
I think if we spend a little bit more time, of course, the word gospel means good news. And I think if we spend a little bit more time spreading the gospel, the good news, then I feel like we do a lot better than just like, oh, this person died and this person got murdered and this person over here. Now there's a train blowing up. I'm like, all that stuff is happening and I get it. And used to, I think where social media has changed things for people is used to, you only knew about it if it happened in your city or your town.
Oh yeah.
You didn't know about if it happened in Oklahoma and you were in Tennessee, unless it was something as big as the Oklahoma City bombing or something like that.
Yeah, and it was shared on the newsworks.
You didn't know about every single person that, had a bad experience on this or that, or, somebody suing so-and-so because they spilled coffee on, whatever. You just didn't know about it. You didn't really care. You're like, yeah, well, I mean, here today in Perry County, we didn't have internet and we barely get 3 TV stations, but we all got together and sat around and picked and grinned and ate chocolate gravy and biscuits.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty good life, to be honest with you. So I just started this song called Dirt Roads and Double Wides. And it says, we were drinking well water from a green garden hose, playing cops and robbers, keeping mama on her toes with our BB gun wars and our bright red Kool-Aid smiles. We were catching crawdads just to let them all go and killing copperheads in the creek by the road. Sun up, sun down, Daddy made us stay outside. We didn't know it at the time. It was a beautiful life. Dirt roads and double wides.
Hell yeah. I like that. I mean,
because now we spend so much time trying to get a nicer house and a better car and this and this. And I think the little things in life that we take for granted is those moments are, I'd give anything to, if, I wouldn't say anything, but I wouldn't want to change my current life because I love my family. But I wish my dad and my son and myself could have went fishing together, but my dad died when he was 43.
Yeah.
I wish my granny was still here. I wish that I would have, and I enjoyed all the times I had with them. It wasn't that I have a regret of it, but it's just like, I wrote a song this week and it's called the Best Ones Hurt the Most. And that's what it talks about is like, man, you think these bad memories are the ones that are going to hurt you for the long run. They only hurt while you're in them.
Yeah.
You always remember them, but there's like, yeah, but I got through it.
Yeah.
But it's when you think back to, you're going to your granny's house and having Christmas time. And, one of the lines in the song says, it's crazy how things change when the patriarch goes.
Oh yeah.
When the matriarch goes, the best ones hurt the most, Yeah.
I remember when my great grandparents passed away. And it was like nobody from the outreaching family came around anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that link, and and the same thing with my family. I mean, me and my aunts, my mom and, her kids, my aunts and their kids, we all get together and have Christmas and, try to keep the tradition alive. But when Granny's not there, all of a sudden, Uncle Michael doesn't come and, this side and this side, used to everybody came to see Granny.
Yeah.
And we just saw them back there at Granny's house in Marsh Creek, a little 800 square foot house, cinder block house on Marsh Creek Road. And, it's still gravel to this day, but we meet there and everybody be packed in as tight as you can get. And that's what the song says, Christmas time at Granny Bell's house, packed in nice and tight. Yep. Uncle Charlie brought a big old box of fireworks for us to light. It ain't been the same since '08, and I think we all know why. Ain't it crazy when the matriarch goes, and the best ones hurt the most?
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's just saying, man, don't take those moments for granted. But even when I said the 90th birthday, my wife's grandma is turning 90 years old, and we're going up there this coming weekend. We're going to go up there and spend some time with them, and they're having a big party for her.
Oh yeah.
And at Christmas, you're starting to hear the rumblings. They're like, man, this might be your last Christmas, and they've probably been hearing that for the last 5 or 6 years. I've been hearing it for the last, I've been with her for this will be our 7-year anniversary coming up. But I went to her with her to Christmas for, one Christmas before we were married. And, you hear people saying, I don't know how much more time she's going to have, but she made it 8 more years now. But you start hearing those rumblings, and then now people are like, I don't know, it's just so hard being all packed in that house together. And I told them this year, I said, I know it's tough, and I know it's hot, and I know you can't see the football game on the TV too well, and it's hard to find a place to sit down and eat, and the kids are going crazy, and it's too many people packed in this house. And I was like, but I promise you, the minute that you're not able to ever do it again, and it's not a possibility, you're going to regret if you don't continue to do this until the last second that you possibly can.
Exactly.
And that's real life. And nobody knows it. You don't know it until it's not there anymore, know?
Well, it's like I've told a lot of people, and I've told my kids this before too. you may point and you may laugh at that old person with that walker trying to get in the store and, get their things and come back out. But if you just took a minute, helped them out a little bit, and maybe, just maybe had a conversation with them,
learn so much,
you would be amazed at what all these people have lived.
Oh yeah. Well, my Granny Belle, she was one of the biggest influences in my life. So people ask me a lot of times, like, because I'm a strong dude and I lift a lot of weights, and I got buddies that are even stronger than me that lift a lot of weights. Duck, who's the strongest person you've ever known? Who's the strongest guy you ever met? The strongest person you ever met? I'm like, well, it was this little lady that lived down on Marsh Creek Road named Granny Belle, Maddie Thelma Bell. I was like, she made it through so much stuff, so many, the wars and depressions and raising kids on her own, and like, strength. When you're talking about physical strength, it's one thing, but when you talk about strength of character, strength of spirit, strength of love, what you bring to the table, the physical strength is the lowest on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Your mental strength and your spiritual strength and your that part of your strength, your mindset is so much more. You are never going to get to being a great power lifter or weightlifter if you don't have a strong mindset. If you want to lose weight, everybody's like, oh, if I just eat less and work out more, sure, that'll work for a little while, but what happens when it stops working? And what happens when you have a plateau? You have a mental mindset to say, I'm going to break that. I'm going to keep doing what I know is right and good for me, because eventually it's going to break that plateau and it's going to go. When you're lifting weights and you hit a plateau, it's like, man, I haven't been on a bench press more than this or lift more than this. I don't know if I'll ever be able to. You have to keep going in every single week, and every single week you do it, and you try to add more and you fail, and you try to add more and you fail, and you try to add more and you fail, until one day you try to add more and you succeed.
Yeah.
And that's, my wife's a trainer as well. So, people, but we are in this automatic society. I think Miranda Lambert put out that song Automatic a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want it right now. We want, we want our pictures on our phone the second we take them, as opposed to going and getting them developed at the Walgreens or whatever, the local drugstore.
I remember the photo mat.
Oh yeah. Hey, I would go down there and hour and a half, we'll have your pictures ready for you.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm not saying, I like some of the conveniences. I'm not against technology and conveniences, but I think it's also preconditioned us to thinking everything has to happen right this second. Used to, you order something, you might wait 3 weeks for it to come in from wherever you ordered it from. Now it's like, I ordered it from Amazon. I ordered it 2 days ago. Why is it not here? Why is it not here? And I think there's a lot of stuff we could live without if we just, realize it's not really that important.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I'm going to do, is like I said, you're my very first on this Zoom call stuff, and I am live streaming it to YouTube, and it was hard to set up and it was a pain in the butt, but at the end of the day, I ain't got no editing. I don't have to do this, don't have to do that, everything. And it's right up and gone, but that's not going to be my mainstay.
Right.
What I really want is I want to be able to get people in here and do the editing and like if you get a chance and you come in, bring your guitar.
We're going to do that for sure.
I'm going to hook you up, and I'm not doing a line in on your guitar. We're doing a SM7.
I love it. Let the room do what it does.
We're going to let it do what it does.
For some reason, I thought you were in Nolensville. I started looking at it in Portland, Tennessee. I'm like, all right, how am I going to go to church, get this squat rack, meet with my family, get over to Portland, Tennessee, get back. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it all. So,
I didn't know you was in Nolensville.
Yeah. I know. I don't know why. I think because Corrine's from Nolensville, so I just assumed it was in Nolensville.
Yeah, but see, Corrine used to live, she had a house down there off of Harding Place, I think.
Yeah.
She lived over there when I met her. And then she had bought that house out there, and then she started the nesting project, which is, she does all kinds of stuff with printing.
She's pretty, she's talented, she's smart, she makes good.
Oh God.
It's unfair to the world, to be honest with you. Like me, I got to be smart and good looking and medium talented. I mean, the good looking part is the most important.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. You've been dealing with that your whole life too.
I wished.
But yeah, man, I think you're going to do great with this, and I like that it's just a real conversation. It's not kind of aimed at any certain agenda or anything, and not that you won't have pointed conversations where you're like, hey, I'm bringing this person on because I want my listeners to hear about finance today or this or that. And I think what a lot of podcasts are used for that now is like, hey, this podcast is about this, and we bring on specific people that talk about this.
Yeah,
I kind of like, hey, we're just talking, man. We're going to get to know each other. I've been in music, you've been in music. You've done this, I've done that. We talk, we have a good conversation. We talk about things we went through growing up. I think whoever it's supposed to touch, somebody will hear this story and they'll be like, you know what, that's that's cool. That really made me think about X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, I really want the whole basis of all of it was I just wanted to get people back to conversation, and I wanted people to be able to learn something about somebody, get a little bit more personal with it, especially with all the, the COVID crap and everything else.
Yeah.
And just basically maybe help somebody learn something.
Yeah.
And be more productive and get out there and do their dreams. Cause like I said, I did 6 months of research on this and just kicked it off in December. And my numbers, according to people that know numbers and stuff, they've told me that I've got phenomenal numbers, and I don't know why. I mean, I sound like a little squeaky mouse.
Have you looked in the mirror?
No, I don't ever look in the mirror. There's when I look in the mirror, there's this old guy looking back at me, and I still feel like I'm 22.
Yeah. I had this conversation the other day with a couple buddies of mine. I'm like, does it not feel like we graduated or that we were playing high school football together like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And so the crazy part is, I started having that nostalgia, that reminiscent thing about 3 years ago. It got real strong on me that I'm like, man, where did the last 25 years ago? Where did the last 15 years go?
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like everything went by in a blur. And so I talked to actually my wife's grandma, who's going to be turning 90 this year, back, not this Christmas we just had, but the one before it. And I talked to her. I was like, does it feel to you like you were just a kid the other day? She's like, every single day of my life.
Yeah.
She's like, my mind still wants to be able to do all the things that I did as a kid, and my body just can't do it, and she's like, she's like, but but I wouldn't, the experience that I've got to have and all this other stuff, she was like, when I look back at it, and the line she said, I guess is an old saying, but she said, the days move slow, but the years move fast. And I thought, what a great song that would make, the days move slow and the years move fast.
Dude, I'm already thinking t-shirts.
Their days probably moved a lot slower because they didn't have all the distractions we have. They worked their butt off until the sun came up. They started working. Sun went down. They stopped working. They had family time. They're revamping a lot of ways that they do schools now because they started realizing that because there was so much homework and there's so much learning and there's so much that they're trying to do, that they're taking that family time, quality time away from families.
Yeah.
And I think it was Switzerland that did it first. They said, you know what, there's no such thing as homework. You come to school, you study what you study while you're there, you learn while you're there. And when you go home, you're with your family. And I think it should be like that. Just like with work, we've gotten to a point to where you went to work from 9 to 5, you come home and you didn't think about it till the next day when you had to go work from 9 to 5 again. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't all be entrepreneurs and try to make something out of ourselves or whatever, but when me and my wife, we both work online, the work never stops. You only stop because you purposely make yourself stop. I can always get back on and do more.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a workaholic. I mean, I'm the kind of guy's like, I'm going to succeed at anything I do.
I'm the same way.
I have a mindset. My wife's the same way. So we have to make sure we tell ourselves like, hey, right now it's family time. Put the phone down, put the stuff away. It's being intentional with that. And I'm the worst at it. And she'll tell you that. Probably we don't really have any arguments. We're a great couple and we get along great, but
she's the boss.
What she would tell you is there's times whenever, because, I work a lot with people on the West Coast because I do a lot of shows out that way, like in San Diego just a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're 2 hours behind us. So when it's hitting 6:30, here and we're having dinner together is when they're like, oh, it's 4:30 there. And they're like, I need to get my last few calls in for the day. So they're calling when I'm sitting at the dinner table and I'm like, crap, I got to take this call because this could be $10,000 that I'm not taking the call on,
Oh yeah.
Or she says, well, if they really want you there, it'll still be there. I said, yeah, it might be. I said, but they might give the date that I wanted away, and it might not work out as quickly as I wanted it to.
You never know.
But, God provides. So, but yeah, man, I think it's great. I think it's going to be a great podcast. And
I appreciate it.
I'll help send you some more guests and people as well. So,
yeah, I'd love that. And definitely I want to get you on here again and, hopefully get you in studio. And
we're gonna make that happen.
And
I promise.
I haven't told Kareen yet, but I'm gonna try and get her to where I can swing her in here too. I think it'd be fun.
No, she got to get her butt in there.
She's got to do something. She's a workaholic too, though, man.
Show off them talents, Plus, you can do some advertising. Like for me, you can come down to the Buffalo River Resort, BuffaloRiverResort.tn.
Yeah.
Buffalo River Resort TN.com. You got to put that T in there. It's for Tennessee because there's another Buffalo River Resort. They're not as cool as us. Put that Buffalo River Resort TN in there. Go book you a cabin. Come out and see us. Come do some floating. We're going to have a 4th of July parties. We're going to have Labor Day. And we're going to have Buffalo River Rampage, Memorial Day. We're going to have concerts. We always got something going on out there. So.
Yeah. And I've heard people, a couple of my friends have actually been out there and said they just loved it. It was just beautiful, tranquil.
It's beautiful out there. It's one of them, it's like I said, my little piece of heaven, and we just took, like I said, we just took it over, 18 months ago or whatever. And the people that had it before us are lifelong friends, of our family. They were great. And the guy had a big piece of property in Nashville, sold it for about $50 million. And now he's spending his time fishing off the coast of Florida and hunting for hogs in Arkansas. He's a country boy. No matter how much money he's got, he's still a big old country boy. So he also owns a business called Centurion Stone, which is what his other business was here. He puts all the fake stone on the front of people's houses and all that. And he builds that. Well, he had this, storage, land property in the middle of downtown Nashville. Yeah. And of course, he got offered the big dollars for it because they're going to turn it into a parking lot, I'm sure, or something, But,
oh yeah, I'll tell you one that I'm gonna say this, but then I've got the question is going to be reversed to you because I got to know. My biggest dream right now, my biggest goal, besides the podcast and everything else, this is kind of like one of my bucket list things to do. I want to go down to Texas, and I want to go hunting with Ted Nugent.
Well, let's do it.
I just think that would be awesome because that was my dad admired that man. Not so much for the music, but he was more for the hunting aspect of it, because Ted's a hell of a hunter, man. And
he knows what he eats.
And he did my dad seen a show that Ted had done, and there was a whole flock of mountain sheep, and the ram was in the middle of it.
Right.
And Ted laughed and said he thinks he's getting by with it with the camouflage, and he ain't. And he reared back with that bow. And he let it go, man. And it arched beautifully and got that ram right in the middle of all those sheep that was around it. And my dad went on and on and on for days telling people about that damn shot that Ted Nugent pulled off.
I was in a movie in Beer for My Horses with Ted. And we got to meet him there, and super nice guy, just laid back country guy, he's pretty funny. He got some funny stories he tells, but they said, and I didn't see it happen, but because I wasn't there when it happened, but they said that he was first got on set out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I guess they got those big desert rabbits or whatever they're called.
Oh yeah. They're huge.
Whatever. And said he was sitting there and, all of a sudden one come hopping up and they said he took out his bow and like a long bow, not even like a compound bow, like a long bow, and takes this rabbit out from, however many yards away. And of course they were like, you can't do that on a movie set. You're going to get us all in trouble with PETA and whatever the other stuff is. He goes, I'm going to eat it. And apparently he skinned it and cooked it on the fire that night.
Oh yeah.
Wild. So, I mean, he's, like I said, I didn't see it happen. I just heard the story, but super nice guy. I really enjoyed, the time with him. And that was the only time I ever got to spend any time with him. But, you should definitely do that. I think you would have a good time. I promise you. And I can put in some calls and see if I can make that happen. So anytime I could help make somebody's bucket list thing happen.
Hey, I appreciate it. Well, I mean, my dad passed away 23 years ago in a hunting accident. And Dad was just a big hunter. I mean, he lived and breathed it, and fishing and everything else. He didn't have the best equipment, but man, he loved it. He would get out there.
My dad was the same way, and kind of died in a hunting accident too. My dad was out scouting for turkey sign to set up his, I guess where he was going to turkey hunt that year or whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be 16 years this year, March 25th. So we're upon it. But he was climbing up over a tree and it fell through. Something broke and he hit his knee real hard and got back up and could walk. Didn't think much of it. That was on like a Thursday. Friday, he said, man, my leg keeps falling asleep. Saturday, same kind of thing. But he went fishing with my stepmom. Leg kept falling asleep in the boat. And he's like, man, my leg is hurting. He's a preacher. So he went Sunday and he preached all Sunday morning, preached Sunday night. And then on the way home, he died in a car wreck. After they did the autopsy, they discovered he had a blood clot in his leg from where he'd hit his leg on that tree, and the blood clot went through and hit his heart, and that's what killed him. So kind of a hunting accident as well,
Yeah.
But,
yeah, my dad, he had gotten up in a handmade deer stand.
Yeah.
And he had got the strap around the tree, got his gun hung up, everything up there. And I guess he had turned around or something. And when he turned around, before he could get to his safety strap clicked, he went right out.
Yeah.
I think it was 25 or 30 feet on that side of the tree because it was overlooking a flat ravine type area.
Yeah.
And ruptured his spleen, hit his head on a tree, never came to.
Yeah.
And it was.
I had a buddy in my hometown that had a similar accident this year and, was setting up his stand and fell out and, so those things do happen and, very, very few and far between, thank God, but they do happen, you gotta be extra careful, when you're doing that kind of, I used to build my own deer stands all the time. I look back, I'm like, I don't know how this thing held me up big as I was.
Yeah.
But
I just, me personally, I kind of like those little fiberglass things with the windows in it, and you can just walk up 2 steps and sit in it.
Yeah,
it's closer. It's closer.
A lot better. Climb up and wind starts blowing you in that deer stand. Got 16 penny nails holding. You're just like,
oh yeah. Dad used to put me in a 55-gallon drum that somebody had nailed up in a tree when I was young, about 10, 11 years old. And it had like a little 2x4 makeshift little seat put in there. Man, that wind got to blowing, and the only thing you could see was top of my eyes. I'd be way down in that thing, just waiting on a deer.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we realize you don't have to be 30 or 40 feet up.
Yeah.
You can be 5 feet off the ground. You can be no feet off the ground.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
Well, dude, I've kept you about.
Reverse question, what you said, the reverse question is, my biggest dream, I guess, is my big goal for now. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, your bucket list item. Give me a bucket list item.
Man, I've been so blessed in my life that I've got to live a lot of it. But, I think I'm such a simple dude, but I think one of my heroes, somebody I've always looked up to, is Sylvester Stallone.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of said you'd like to go hunting with Ted Nugent. I'd love to work out with Sylvester Stallone and hang out with him for a day, and just get to know, like, his brain, how it works and how, he overcomes so much just to even be Rocky. And then he created Rocky, he created Rambo. He's got, his mind is, just a vast, there's so much in there. I would love to be able to sit with him and learn from him and stuff like that. So I think that would be a bucket list item for me for sure. If somebody said, hey, you can meet one celebrity,
Yeah.
Obviously they said you got one day to live and you could spend it with whoever. I'd spend it with my wife and my kids.
Oh, obviously.
If they said, hey, you could, spend a day with anybody living or dead, I'd, want my dad and my granny back.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could choose between them, but, but as far as like, celebrities, people that you've looked up to for a long time, that you've never got to meet, I would enjoy spending the day with Sylvester Stallone and just picking his brain, just, go and do a workout with him and just spend a day in the life of old Sly. So,
well, the only thing you got to do is book another show out there.
Yeah.
Let them pay for it all.
Yeah. Just go knock on his door.
Dude, you'd be surprised. I mean, the only thing you got to do is make a call.
Yeah.
You know people.
I do know some people. I've never been able to make that happen yet, but I do know this one woman named Debbie Durkin that's been good friends with him for a long time. And I have a buddy that is his private investigator for, he gets a lot of stalkers and a lot of crazy. Maybe I was one of the stalkers. I know his private investigator. No.
Yeah. Tell him to check you out. You're not crazy.
The closest I've got so far, my buddy Jared Blake, we have a charity together called Live to Be and Music with a Mission. And we do a lot of charity events that we put together, and we bring in our buddies. Like we've had Lee Bryce and Randy Hauser and Tracy Lawrence. And we got Eddie Montgomery coming up at the end of April.
Good.
So we've been blessed to get these guys doing. We've raised over $800,000 in the past 2 years, basically since September of 2020, pandemic year. We've raised right at $800 and something thousand for local charities by doing these events.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that's been a beneficiary of what we do is a guy named Randy Couture, who's a 6-time UFC champion.
Yep.
Probably one of the greatest of all time.
Very familiar.
And we're friends with him. And so he actually invited Jared. I got invited too, but I couldn't go, unfortunately. But he invited us to come over to Greece, and we have this American flag guitar that's a Fender Acoustasonic, one of their new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be auctioning it off and all the money proceeds will go to Randy Couture's veteran charity for PTSD soldiers that, suicide attempts and things like that.
Yeah.
And so we got to go over there and he took this guitar to be autographed by people, and they had Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly and 50 Cent and Jason Statham, Randy Couture, pretty much everybody in the cast except for Sylvester Stallone. And I told Jared, I said, listen, if you'd have went over there and you got to meet Sylvester Stallone without me, I don't know if I'd ever forgive. I can't remember what I had going on that week, but it was something with family, and I don't care. I ain't going to cancel my family for nothing, but man, I'd have been.
Oh, you'd have been livid, dude.
They're saying when they do the premiere, it's the Expendables 4 that we possibly get to come to the premiere and have the guitar signed by the rest of the cast and do all that. But we're going to be auctioning that thing off online. We didn't know if we want to do a raffle or bids or how we're going to do it just yet. We've already had a bid if we do it for the bids, we've already got a bid for $6,500. So we know the charity at least make that,
Yeah.
Minus the cost of the guitar, which was like 20. It's a real, a lot of times you get those autographed guitars and they're like, they're just not great guitars, but it's cool because it's got the signature of some celebrity on it. But this is an actual like $2,500 guitar if you bought it outright. It's a special edition, so it's probably worth more than that. But it's got Lee Bryce, Randy Hauser, all the ones I just mentioned a while ago, Troy Aikman. It's got a megaton of signatures on it, and it's one of a kind. You'll never be able to get this guitar. You'll never be able to get all those people back together again and make it happen. So it's happened because every time we do one of these shows, we have it. Every time we get invited somewhere, we have it. And we've just had everybody autograph it, and it's just cool. It's got it's got an American flag on it and signatures all over it.
Yeah.
Most important signature it's got on it is mine, which actually makes it worth about 15 cents less than what it would be if it didn't have it. So. Anyway,
that's a good thing that you're getting all that done.
Is there any other questions, man? I mean, we're going to do this again, so obviously,
because honestly, we could probably sit here
dinner, and I know my wife's going to be like, "What are you doing? Why ain't you in here eating with me?"
Oh yeah, because me and you can sit here and talk all daggone night. I can tell you that.
I can tell that for sure.
All right, brother. Hey, I really appreciate you being on, man. And
I appreciate you having me, and glad I got to be the guinea pig on the Zoom.
But yeah, anytime you got anything you want to talk about or anything, man, just shoot me a text and we'll hook it up.
Send me the link to the YouTube channel so I can add it. I mean, I have the link for maybe that was the YouTube channel that it took me to. The link you sent me before, was that the YouTube?
The link I sent you before was my website.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you can access everything off the website.
Where's this producer guy at there's another guy involved. Where's he at?
He's at his house probably eating right now.
That lazy bum. Anyway, I'm just kidding, man. You're not lazy. Don't kick me off the next time I get to come on the show.
Hey, Thomas is a good guy.
To it. We're going to have a good time, and I'm going to come out there in the near future, and when I'm a little bit more prepared because, it's a little further out than I thought, but come out there. Just prepare because we're going to be there, and I expect you to have some homemade biscuits or something out there. So
either that or I'll have a mess of barbecue for us, right?
Well, that works too. I mean, any of that, basically anything, I'll eat whatever, you know. Just, you know, like I said, call me. Just don't call me late for dinner. You know.
There you go.
So,
All right, brother. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be in front of your folks, and hopefully, I can once you get me this, I can send it out and get some other folks to come check out your stuff as well.
I'll definitely send it to you, brother.
See you, bud.
Appreciate it.